See the incredible animals. At 50 below zero and 120-kilometer winds, a mammoth lost in the first blizzard couldn't survive alone. The cold was not the only threat. She was giving birth at the worst time. The newborn calf lay completely still. The mother desperately pushed to wake it, but failed. Mother and calf nearly froze. The herd formed a living wall against the blizzard, but for the tiny calf, it might be too late. Fortunately, when dawn broke, the storm finally passed. The herd's protection had worked. The calf survived. This is the Ice Age. 1/4 of Earth's land was buried under ice sheets 3 kilometers thick. Countless strange, unseen creatures lived here. North of the Arctic lakes was a hidden sanctuary the cold could not reach. The unique underground Ice Age caves. These caves stayed as warm as a spring day year-round. Deep in the darkest corner lived a family of cave bears. The climate here was too harsh. They lived almost entirely underground. The mother bear raised a 6-month-old cub. These giant cave bears hibernated up to 9 months, the entire northern winter. The cave protected the family from the freezing cold, but danger neared. Cave lions, massive 270-kilogram predators, arrived, not seeking warmth, but hunting. Their special strategy: ignore small Arctic foxes and target cave bear cubs instead. Meanwhile, the strangest Ice Age creature, the giant ground sloth, ventured into milder weather. As a giant tree sloth, her survival superpower was living in slow motion. Energy conservation was everything. In the Ice Age, sloth families stayed together longer for support. Meet her 3-year-old son and infant daughter. Her winter adventure: rolling in the snow is the best way to clean their thick fur. For the little one, the first snow was magical. It was lunchtime. Descending looked exhausting, but sloths have tricks. Babies ride mom's back. Big brother simply slides. They reach the bottom effortlessly. Lunch was pine needles, enough to survive. The secret is finding the perfect spot to eat effortlessly. For the little one, this very first solid food was way better than mom's milk. Only the lightest sloth babies climb trees. Sloths may be slow, but the big brother's back isn't. For the cave lion cubs, danger silently closed in. The cave lions had to bypass the underground world's true masters, cave hyenas. Both sides were wary. Nobody wanted a fight. Traveling nearly 1.6 kilometers deep, the lions reached their target. They had to grab the bear cubs in total darkness and silence. The cubs smelled danger, but so did an adult bear. After a brutal battle, one cave lion escaped. Bears are powerful. The mother bear now guards the entrance herself. It was a close call, but the adults saved the day. In this frozen world, the smallest creatures need survival skills. Take this little vole. She digs a snow maze to hide from predators. Above, woolly rhinos appeared. They were not hunting voles, they were foraging. With long legs and thick back fat, they barely survived the winter. This is an elderly female woolly rhino, already 40 and nearly blind. Beside her is the newest member, her grandson. He cannot forage alone, so he stays with grandma to learn. The oldest and youngest stick together. The herd did not notice being watched. A dire wolf pack targeted the weakest. Rhinos are fast, the wolves are faster. They formed a defensive wall, but the grandmother was missing, lost in the chaos. Now she was alone and in grave danger, but the herd never abandons its own. This time it was a reunion between the young and the old. In the Ice Age, looking out for each other was the difference between life and death. If you fight alone, you face far greater danger. This 2-year-old male saber-toothed cat was forced to survive alone. Things weren't going well. Retaining his milk teeth, he lacked deadly saber fangs. He couldn't hunt large prey and hadn't eaten properly in weeks. Hunger drove him into an unfamiliar valley with stronger predators. He smelled another cat species, but left his own scent instead. Ahead, 900-kilogram mammoths were chewing. Their huge trunks warmed the freezing air they breathed. For this young saber-tooth, the chance of success was almost zero, but he was out of options. He had to try. Another adult saber-tooth appeared. With one lightning strike of his massive fangs, he killed the prey. After the hunt, a real problem began. Whose kill is this? Facing the stronger male, the youngster stood no chance. He had a secret weapon, an irresistible temptation. The scent worked. The adult male couldn't resist his first feast in weeks. This meal gave him the strength to survive until his adult saber teeth grew. He survived the most dangerous life stage. Sharing the meal bonded the cats, starting a new family story. Far north, the mammoth herd began a dangerous migration. The newborn calf must keep up. Though tiny, it was surprisingly strong. For the herd and all earthly life, the greatest survival challenge just began. Weighing over a ton, this was the largest bear species ever. Napping, he looked completely harmless, but don't be fooled. He was a top-tier predator. The short-faced bear ruled the South American forest, needing 23 kilograms of meat daily to survive. He spotted wild dogs eating. The 2-meter-tall short-faced bear could kill with one swipe. The dogs retreated. He proved he was the boss. Lingering for scraps, they realized he wasn't leaving. He found a new home. This is the Ice Age, when powerful natural forces connected entire continents. Animals began massive migrations across the globe, exploring and searching for new homes. In this ever-changing world, even the smallest creatures were making epic journeys across continents. This Ice Age squirrel explored a new land bridge between North and South America. Everything looked fresh and unfamiliar. These basketball-sized fruits could feed him for a week. Unfortunately, they were protected by thick, rock-hard shells his tiny strength couldn't break. A true giant approached, a 6-meter 6-ton ground sloth. Smashing cannonball-sized fruits was easy. The squirrel waited for leftovers. The sloth's harvesting was brutally efficient. His 30-centimeter claws smashed the fruits, creating deadly hazards. For a tiny squirrel, every step was terrifying. A giant ground sloth eats 136 kilograms daily. This one seemed full. The squirrel waited patiently, grabbing a small piece, only to discover it tasted awful. To survive in a new land, you must keep trying. Every creature learns this. This young Ice Age sloth was no exception. A few weeks old, he was nearly 1 meter long. The new continent held surprises. Survival depended on his napping mother, leaving him hungry. These sloths migrated from South American forests to North America during the Ice Age. The environment was harsh, but Mom had a plan to find water. The baby still grew on milk, but without water, the milk would dry up. As they walked, the terrain grew worse, steeper, harder, and drier. Luckily, Mom had an incredible sense of smell and caught the scent of water. But another animal had arrived first. Though she was a giant sloth, she now faced a Colombian mammoth. These four 2-meter giants had very bad tempers, drinking 50 gallons daily. Mom used a clever trick, acting like a crocodile. The terrified mammoths fled. Mom drank her fill, ensuring the baby's milk. The Ice Age reshaped the planet. Trapped on islands with limited food, some animals evolved in surprising ways, becoming extremely small. Meet the dwarf mammoth. Related to regular elephants, she stood under 1 meter tall. If you think she's small, wait until you see her 30-centimeter baby. Tiny size didn't mean a tiny appetite or temper. Swinging her trunk meant play. One wrong turn left the calf lost, facing a 1.8-meter giant condor. A baby mammoth was the perfect meal. Roots offered a lifeline, but more condors arrived. Luckily, Mom rescued her. The calf learned a vital lesson: never stray far. In South America, the Ice Age created true giants. The saber-toothed cat, a feline armed with deadly sword-like fangs. Her ancestors had migrated from North America and ruled this new continent. But she also faced local rivals, the terror birds. They could not fly, but they were extremely intelligent and fiercely aggressive. Their lineage had existed for 50 million years. These two terror birds were brothers. They usually hunted together, but when food was scarce, even brothers had to compete. They had their eyes on the saber-tooth and decided to let the queen do the dirty work while they followed at a safe distance. The saber-tooth's powerful front limbs could grip prey better than any modern cat. Perfect for the bird's plan. The saber-tooth attacked. One terror bird was very clever. He sent his brother to draw the fire. Chaos erupted, but the trick actually worked. Both birds got what they wanted, while the queen was left spinning in circles. In the turbulent Ice Age, animals fought for survival. The only rule was becoming the strongest. Two giants battled for the throne. The loser was the winner's meal. The victor carried the future of an entire species. Today, a new queen. The leader's daughter was crowned. Her test began. Welcome to the Ice Age. This was no longer a lush green paradise. It was a vast desert 3 times larger than today's Sahara. Temperatures plunged. Drought ruled everything. Only the strangest and strongest survived this brutal environment. For the mother sloth, hunger was worse than death. If she fell, the 2-month-old baby on her back lost its only food source. On a 1.6-kilometer ridge, every step risked a deadly fall. She had to find fresh leaves before nightfall, because when the sun peaked, death descended from the sky. Meanwhile, the young 2-tusked elephant queen faced her first major challenge. The drought was the worst in memory. With the old leader dead, finding water fell to her. Using her mother's memories and instinct, she believed she found a miracle. But the exhausted herd saw only the bleached bones of companions at a death trap, the sea of holy bones. They wouldn't reach the next water source. As despair took hold, the new queen did something astonishing. She frantically dug the dry riverbed with her trunk. Had she lost her mind? There was underground water. Her determination and wisdom had saved the entire herd. But not every top predator was so lucky. Called lions, they were built like cheetahs, born ambush hunters. As forests became grasslands, prey grew stronger. This pack hadn't eaten in weeks. The cubs played, forgetting hunger. The desperate mother lacked speed for the giant prey. The hunt failed. She never made it home, leaving her cubs to starve. Not every creature faced the edge of death. A hilarious love story unfolded. The male terror bird sought a mate. He called carefully. His female stood 3 meters tall, weighing half a ton. One kick kills. He loves the small and cute feeling, except he is the small one. To win the queen's heart, he looked as tiny as possible. Once courtship succeeded, the male would take on all the egg incubating and child-rearing duties. The female was simply too heavy and would crush the eggs. This is nature's clever choice. The smallest fathers end up raising the most offspring. Don't let these adorable kangaroo babies fool you. They weren't gentle herbivores. They were full-blown carnivores. Nightfall gave them the perfect chance to practice hunting like these newly hatched reptile chicks. But they would soon discover what they saw as prey could also be an appetizer for something far more terrifying. Twice a Komodo dragon's size, eating its own young, the giant monitor lizard rendered the baby kangaroo's hunting useless. Luckily, they had one trick: jumping. A desperate leap reunited the family. The mother sloth was not so lucky. Staying too long on the mountain, she missed the descent. The blazing midday sun brought 3-meter-tall flying predators. Their target was the mother and calf. The smart condors did not kill directly. They harassed until the mother lost balance. The fall's impact would do the rest. Shielding her baby through agonizing steps, the mother sloth reached safety before the condors gave up. But not every mother was so fortunate. The missing lioness hadn't abandoned her cubs. Desperation sparked a lethal strategy. Kangaroos rest in shade during the midday heat. That was her chance. Wading high in a tree, she struck. Now she must drag the heavy prey home. Her children finally saw their mother again. In this frozen hell, wisdom, courage, and a little luck were the only ingredients for survival. But this was only a brief moment of peace. As the climate grew even harsher, the real challenges were just beginning. "10,000 years ago, every sunrise was a brand new battle. Can you believe it? This elephant-sized woolly rhino was tormented by countless parasites. She hoped passing birds would help, but the outcome crushed her. The birds weren't cleaning her. They pulled her hair to line their nests. First parasites, now birds. The poor rhino despaired, needing a solution. On the Ice Age grasslands, one thing solved both problems: a hot mud bath. This clever rhino decided to take full advantage of nature's gift for a complete cleaning, but there was a catch. These precious mud pools were not for everyone. Male rhinos are extremely territorial. Luckily, the other rhino sounded friendly, perhaps a long-lost relative. All clear. Time to enjoy the mud. These natural hot springs were not just for cleaning. They were the social hubs of the Ice Age giants. Here they exchanged vital information about territory, rivals, and secret feeding grounds. Best of all, the hot mud drove away parasites, and the thick coating stopped those thieving birds from pulling any more hair. For this ancient giant called the woolly rhino, the vast grasslands of the Ice Age were absolute paradise. But on the distant African plains, the same geological changes were about to trigger a bloody revolution. Spotted hyenas had always been the top predators here. The two brothers had just made a kill, unaware that their chase had led them straight into foreign territory. Danger was closing in. A herd of 3-meter-long giant buffalo had arrived. Their presence completely shattered the old balance. These creatures, once river dwellers, had evolved into terrifying land predators to exploit the new grasslands. Their coordinated attacks were so powerful that even saber-toothed cats struggled to resist. The old kings were driven out. These giant buffalo had become the undisputed rulers of the African plains. For others, this upheaval was an apocalypse. Asia hid Gigantopithecus, the largest ape ever, double a modern silverback's weight. The gentle giants ruled 2 million years. Now their home vanished, trees died, grasslands spread, fruit disappeared. Still, his knowledge aided survival. Bark gave fiber and vitamins. The forest floor hid protein. He mastered a clever technique to crack tough nuts. But food shortage was not the biggest threat. As his world shrank, he grew lonelier. He sought a mate to share his life with. He found a tree loaded with fruit on a dangerously thin branch. Using enormous strength, he tried pushing the whole tree down unsuccessfully. Showing incredible intelligence, he broke a branch, using it as a tool to knock the ripe fruit down. Yet when he finally tasted this hard-earned meal, something was still missing, a companion to share it with. Most of his kind had already vanished because they could not adapt to the new era. The vast forest no longer held any answers. This car-sized creature was the giant ground sloth Doedicurus. He was a living tank. Top predators avoided him. His enormous size didn't help find a mate. Spotting others should be easy, but they had terrible eyesight. Anything beyond 1 meter was a blur. Luckily, they possessed an extraordinary sense of smell. One sniff revealed everything. The scent in the air seemed promising. He followed the trail and found a female, but she was not alone. Another male was there, older, experienced, and half a ton heavier. To win her heart, he risked everything. For mating rights, these male giant sloths fought like medieval knights. The older rival was stronger, but skill mattered too. Their powerful hind legs delivered devastating 1,000-pound kicks. The young challenger seized his moment and struck a decisive blow. The fight was over, but would his victory win the female's heart? It was time for the answer. Sadly, winning the battle did not guarantee winning love. The weather in the Ice Age was just as unpredictable as romance. The drought came too late. For a mammoth herd, the crisis was critical. One mother was so dehydrated she stopped making milk. They needed water now. The leader stood perfectly still, listening with his feet. Mammoths have incredibly sensitive pads detecting the faintest vibrations. Hope lay ahead, yet the journey was long. The calf must keep up. Adults used huge fat reserves, but the baby would not survive without milk. A storm was coming, but not the drought they expected. Melting ice released fine dust that triggered the largest sandstorm in 2 years. Adult mammoths knew how to cover their trunks to breathe, but for the calf it was suffocating. Life in the Ice Age was brutal. 1 in 3 mammoth calves did not survive their first year. For the good of the herd, they had to leave the dead behind and keep moving. Finally, the rains came. The drought ended. The calf would soon drink fresh water. Adults would eat new grass. Water's call spread across the vast plains, reaching every mammoth. They gathered for a grand celebration of life. The enormous Ice Age grasslands nurtured Earth's largest animal migrations, reshaping 1/3 of the planet. That epic journey still echoes today. Can you believe it? Just 13,000 years ago, Earth was still home to these giants. They were the true rulers of the Ice Age. Then, overnight, an unprecedented catastrophe wiped them from the planet. What exactly happened to them? What shocking secret lies behind their disappearance? Today, follow us back to that lost world to solve the ultimate mystery of the Ice Age giants' extinction. The story begins with a saber-toothed pack, once northern kings. They thrived in cold for millennia. Global warming created a scorching hell. Climate shifts drove prey south, emptying valleys. Near despair, migrating mammoths appeared, each a moving mountain. An all-or-nothing gamble. Win, the family eats. Lose, they die. Hunger left no choice. The saber-toothed charged. Their target was the largest bull mammoth in the herd. A legendary battle between Ice Age super predators and giant prey began, but global warming's effects reached far beyond the land. Along distant coasts, melting glaciers created a spectacle. Mineral-rich ice collapsed into the sea, turning water into a nutrient soup. A lush underwater kelp forest appeared, attracting a special family. Stellar's sea cows. They were manatee relatives, but the size of whales. Feasting carried risk. The kelp grew near shore. At low tide, they could strand. One sea cow was trapped, helpless. A short-faced bear arrived, 230 kilograms heavier than a polar bear and far more deadly. The carnivore approached the irresistible scent. It attacked. It could tear animals apart, but the sea cows too. 5-centimeter thick skin was so tough claws couldn't grip. It felt like a massage. The tide returned. The bear fled. The lucky sea cow rejoined its family. But not every story had a happy ending. Far to the south, an even deadlier trap was waiting. A lake formed by melting ice had become a literal death zone. When temperatures rose, the once solid surface turned into a deadly quagmire. Anything that stepped on it was doomed. Today, a new victim appeared. An unlucky mammoth. Its scent of death drew a female saber-tooth and her 2 cubs. Although supreme hunters, they never turned down an easy carrion meal. But danger followed. A pack of dire wolves, the saber-tooth's mortal enemy, had also smelled the feast. They were pack hunters with bone-crushing jaws. Worse, they would not hesitate to kill saber-tooth cubs if given the chance. A fierce battle was inevitable, but the treacherous ice made everything unpredictable. The wolves carefully tested the half-melted ice for safe paths. Meanwhile, the mother saber-tooth stepped on a weak spot and sank into the mud. Her cubs were suddenly exposed to the wolves' fangs. In a surge of maternal fury, she summoned impassable strength and broke free. The wolves retreated. This lucky family survived. But how many lives remain forever trapped in that black mud? Climate change pushed ancient rulers toward extinction. Meet the Irish elk, bearing the largest antlers ever. His 3-6-meter rack was a proud display on open plains. As forests returned, those magnificent antlers became a deadly liability. Cave hyenas targeted him. These wolf-sized, very aggressive hunters drove him toward the dense forest. The giant antlers snagged on branches. Trapped, the hyenas closed in. In a moment of pure desperation, the elk made an astonishing choice. With one violent twist, he snapped off his own magnificent antlers. He sacrificed his crown to save his life. It was an act of incredible courage. But for his entire species, living space was shrinking fast. The end was still coming. Tropical forests expanded, birthing creatures like the elephant bird. A father anxiously awaited his chick. The flock migrated. They hatched together for safety. Left behind means certain death. He stayed to guard it. Alone, they are very easy prey. Sure enough, a giant terror bird had spotted them. It was a fast and deadly predator. Luckily, the father elephant bird's enormous size was enough to scare off any attacker. In the end, they reached their destination safely. A wetland formed by rainwater. Even the last hatched chick made it. For them, the great change had opened a golden age. Now let us return to the battlefield. The saber-tooths tracked the herd 2 full days. Their patience was finally rewarded. The wounded bull mammoth fell behind. It was weak, perfect prey. With a lion's strength and a leopard's agility, their power overwhelmed it. This feast helped the family survive another winter, but they did not know a really terrifying predator had begun its rise, spreading across the planet fast. That predator was us, humans. So how exactly did these once mighty rulers of Earth disappear? The Brea Tar Pits in Los Angeles hold the most shocking clues. The number of fossils unearthed here is staggering. Nearly 3,000 saber-toothed cats and over 5,000 dire wolves. But strangely, the fossil record stops abruptly at one point in time. Using radiocarbon dating, scientists pinned down the exact moment. Shockingly, almost every one of these species vanished at the exact same time, as if they had hit an invisible wall. 13,000 years ago, they disappeared from Earth overnight. The first cause was extremely rapid climate change. California warmed 5 degrees Celsius. Half the vegetation vanished. Decades-long droughts became normal. The giants couldn't adapt. Research revealed a deadlier factor. Sediment charcoal showed an explosive rise. A new species brought a destructive force, fire. The dry landscape was a giant powder keg. Human fires destroyed habitats. With advanced hunting, a perfect storm formed. Climate change and human activity extinguished the Ice Age megafauna. One era ended. The world today is built upon their ruins.